Humanity slept for 5,000 years, until someone awoke the beast. They thought we were extinct, a footnote in galactic history. They studied our ruins like curious archaeologists picking through bones. But they didn't understand what it means to be human. We don't die. We adapt. We survive. And when the galaxy came knocking, it wasn't ready for the answer. This is the story of how humanity changed everything. Part 1. The Awakening. Chief Archivist Zen K adjusted her breathing apparatus as the expedition shuttle settled on the desolate landscape of what was once called Earth. Through the viewport, she observed the crumbling ruins of a city partially reclaimed by wilderness. Twisted metal spires jutting from the earth like the ribs of some ancient creature. Atmospheric analysis complete, announced her assistant, Trill. Composition matches historical records. Radiation levels nominal. Safe for limited exposure with standard protection. Zenke nodded, her 6 eyes blinking in sequence, a sigh of excitement in her species. The Voidwalker Council will be pleased. This is the most intact human settlement we've discovered. The Voidwalkers had risen to dominance in the galaxy over the past 4 millennia. They prided themselves on their meticulous catalog of all sentient life, past and present. Earth was simply another entry in their vast archives, a world where a promising species had briefly flourished before destroying themselves in some cataclysm approximately 5,000 standard cycles ago. Or so they believed. The expedition team of 8 disembarked, their sleek environmental suits gleaming against the backdrop of Earth's ruined splendor. They carried advanced scanning equipment, collection devices, and translation matrices programmed with what little was known of human languages. According to historical satellites, this was a place called Geneva, Trill said, consulting his data tablet, a center of global governance in the final era of human civilization. Zenka moved carefully through the ruins, her scanner sweeping methodically, curious how little we truly know about them. Their transmissions stopped so abruptly. The evidence suggests they reached early spaceflight, established minor colonies on their moon and neighboring planet, then simply vanished. The standard theory is environmental collapse or warfare, Trill reminded her, though the radiation signature doesn't match typical weapons of mass destruction. As they ventured deeper into the ruins, the scanners began detecting anomalous energy readings. Faint but unmistakable. "That's impossible," muttered Trill. "Active power signatures." After 5 millennia. Zenke's antennae quivered with excitement. Plot the source. This could be the discovery of the cycle. The team followed the energy trail to what appeared to be an ordinary hillside overgrown with vegetation. But their scanners revealed something else entirely. A massive structure buried beneath, shielded by materials their sensors struggled to analyze. "The readings suggest an entrance approximately 20 meters ahead," said the team's engineer Vox. "But I'm detecting no obvious mechanism." Zenke approached the hillside, her scanner revealing subtle patterns in what appeared to be solid rock. These markings, they're artificial, a form of written language. The team's linguists studied the patterns. It resembles late-era human English. It says, "Emergency access. Authorized personnel only." "Can we open it?" Zenke asked. Vox examined the hillside. "There appears to be an electronic locking mechanism still powered somehow. With your permission, Chief Archivist, I can attempt to bypass it." Zenke hesitated only briefly. The discovery of functional human technology would elevate her standing among the Voidwalkers significantly. "Proceed carefully." For nearly an hour, Vox worked with the ancient mechanism, connecting various devices to what appeared to be a control panel hidden beneath the rock face. Finally, there was a deep rumbling sound, and a section of the hillside slid away, revealing a dark passage. "Remarkable," whispered Zenka. 5,000 cycles, and their technology still functions." The team entered cautiously, their lights cutting through the darkness. The passage led deeper, sloping downward into the earth. After walking for several minutes, they reached a massive door of gleaming metal, untarnished by time. More inscriptions, noted the linguist. Geneva Contingency Vault. As they approached, the door illuminated with soft blue light. A mechanical voice spoke in an ancient human language, which their translation matrices rendered in real time. Proximity detected. Unidentified biological signatures. Security protocols engage. Before the explorers could retreat, the door parted smoothly, revealing a vast chamber beyond. The team stood transfixed as lights activated sequentially, illuminating a sight none of them had expected. Rows upon rows of transparent pods filled the enormous space, extending farther than their legs could reach. Each pod contained what appeared to be a sleeping human. "By the void," gasped Trill. "They're preserved." Zenke approached the nearest pod, her scanner hovering over the still form inside. "This is not decomposition stasis. These vitals are minimal but present. They're alive." The implication struck her like a physical blow. Humanity hadn't gone extinct. They had gone into hibernation. As the team moved deeper into the facility, displays activated around them, showing information in the human language. The linguist worked feverishly to translate. "This appears to be some form of preservation facility," he said. "According to these records, thousands of humans are stored here in what they called deep stasis. And this isn't the only facility. There are references to others around their world." Zenke's excitement was tempered by growing concern. The Voidwalker Council operated on the assumption that humanity was extinct. If they were merely dormant, why would they do this? What were they hiding from? Before anyone could respond, an alarm sounded, and the displays turned red. The mechanical voice spoke again. "Unauthorized access detected. Security breach in progress. Initiating revival protocol for Security Officer Alpha." One of the nearby pods began to illuminate, its surface becoming transparent. Systems around it activated, pumping fluids and adjusting temperatures. The team watched in stunned silence as the human inside, a female with dark skin and close-cropped hair, began to stir. "We should leave," Vox suggested urgently. "Contact the council before proceeding further." "No," said Zenke firmly. "This is a historic moment. We stay." The pod opened with a soft hiss, and the human inside took a sharp, gasping breath. Her eyes, dark brown against white sclera, fluttered open, focusing slowly on the aliens before her. For a long moment, there was silence. Then the human spoke, her voice hoarse from disuse but clear. "You're not from around here, are you?" The translation matrix processed her words, and Zenke stepped forward. "I am Chief Archivist Zenke of the Voidwalker Expeditionary Force. We discovered this facility while studying the remains of your civilization." The human sat up slowly, movements stiff but deliberate. "Commander Elena Reyes, United Earth Defense Force. How long has it been?" Zenke hesitated. "According to our historical records, human civilization collapsed approximately 5,000 standard cycles ago." Commander Rice closed her eyes briefly, absorbing this information. When she opened them again, they were sharp with focus. 5,000 years. We overslept." She attempted to stand, stumbled slightly, then steadied herself against the pod. "System status," she called out. The mechanical voice responded immediately. "Welcome, Commander Reyes. All systems operating at 97% efficiency. 10,427 subjects in stable preservation. Planetary conditions, habitable within acceptable parameters." Reyes nodded and turned back to the aliens. "You seem surprised to find us. I take it humanity is considered extinct." "Yes," admitted Zenke. "Your cities are in ruins. Your orbital structures have fallen. Earth is preserved as a historical site of interest." A slight smile crossed Reyes' face. "Just Earth. What about Mars? The lunar colonies? The Jupiter moons?" The aliens exchanged uncertain glances. "There were minor outposts," said Trill, "but they were believed abandoned when your species disappeared." Reyes' smile widened subtly. Is that what your history says? She made her way to a central console, movements becoming more fluid with each step. Placing her palm on a scanner, she spoke. Commander Elena Reyes, Authorization Phoenix Rising. Initiate command staff revival sequence. 4 pods near the center of the room began the same revival process. As they worked, Reyes studied the aliens carefully. So, who runs things out there now? In the galaxy? Zenka found herself answering automatically. The Voidwalker Collective oversees most civilized systems. We've brought order and knowledge to over 300 species. Collective, repeated Reyes thoughtfully. Interesting choice of words. Before Zenka could respond, the 4 pods opened. 2 males and 2 females emerge, disoriented, but quickly regaining their bearings. Commander, said one of the males, a tall figure with pale skin and silver-streaked hair. Did it work? Are we alive? We're alive, Malcolm, Reyes replied. But we slept longer than planned. About 4,900 years longer. She gestured to the aliens. And we have visitors. Meet the Voidwalkers. Apparently, they run the galaxy now. And they think we're extinct. The man called Malcolm looked at the aliens, then back at Reyes. The emergency protocols. Active and waiting. She confirmed, her expression now serious. Commence Operation Phoenix. Malcolm nodded and moved to another console, working swiftly. The other awakened humans took up positions at different stations. Zenka felt a growing unease. Commander Reyes, I must contact my superiors about this discovery. The Council will want to establish diplomatic relations immediately. Reyes turned to her, expression neutral but eyes calculating. Of course, Chief Archivist. But first, I think we should show you something. Something that will help you understand why humanity went to sleep 5,000 years ago, and why your council might want to reconsider their position in the galaxy. A large screen descended from the ceiling, displaying a star map of the solar system. Points of light began to activate across it. On Mars, on the moons of Jupiter and Saturn, in the asteroid belt, and beyond. You see, said Reyes softly, humanity didn't just live on Earth. We spread. We prepared. And most importantly, her eyes met Zenka's directly. We remember. Across the solar system, in facilities buried deep beneath the surfaces of moons and planets, ancient systems began to activate. Humanity wasn't extinct. It was waking up. The reckoning. The Voidwalker High Council chamber fell silent as Chief Archivist Zenka's report concluded. The 9 council members, representing the most powerful factions of their species, exchanged troubled glances across the circular table. Grand Arbiter Lox, their leader, spoke first. Let me understand this clearly. You're suggesting that not only did humans survive the catastrophe, but they deliberately entered stasis, hiding their presence from the galaxy for 5 millennia. Zenka, still wearing her expedition gear, nodded. The evidence is irrefutable, Grand Arbiter. The facility underneath Geneva contains over 10,000 preserved humans. Commander Reyes confirmed there are similar vaults across Earth and throughout their solar system. How many? Demanded Councillor Virax, the military overseer. Unknown, admitted Zenka. But based on the data we observed before being escorted back to our ship, potentially millions. The chamber erupted in concerned murmurs. Millions of humans, a species believed extinct, suddenly re-emerging into a galaxy that had evolved without them. This is troubling, stated Councillor Ish, the eldest among them. Our histories indicate humans were volatile, unpredictable. Their technology was primitive, but advancing rapidly before their disappearance. Their technology was not primitive, corrected Zenka. That's the second concerning revelation. The preservation technology we observed exceeds our current capabilities, and Commander Reyes initiated what she called Operation Phoenix, activating facilities throughout their system that our surveys never detected. Grand Arbiter Locke's expression darkened. You said they escorted you back to your ship. Were you detained? Not exactly, said Zenka carefully. They were polite but insistent. Commander Reyes said they needed time to get their bearings before formal contact. She gave me this to deliver to the council. Zenka placed a small crystalline cube on the table. It illuminated at her touch, projecting a holographic image of Commander Reyes. Greetings, Voidwalker Council, said the holographic human. By now, Chief Archivist Zenka has informed you of our existence. I apologize for the abrupt nature of our meeting, but awakening after 5,000 years requires certain adjustments. I've studied your historical archives from the data Chief Zenka graciously shared. You believe humanity destroyed itself in what you call the catastrophe. The truth is more complicated. We didn't destroy ourselves. We hid ourselves. 5,000 years ago, humanity encountered something in deep space, something ancient and hostile. We called it the Harbinger. It used energy weapons to alter our sun's radiation output, making Earth's surface temporarily uninhabitable. Rather than flee to the stars unprepared, we chose to wait it out, to sleep until the danger passed or until we could face it on better terms. We've awakened to find the galaxy change. Your Voidwalker collective now dominates where once there was diversity. Curious, given the timing. The Harbinger appears, humanity goes to sleep, and 1,000 years later, your people begin their expansion. I propose a meeting, neutral ground, equal representation. We have much to discuss about the past and the future. Transmit your response on the frequency embedded in this message. You have 3 standard days. A hologram vanished, leaving the council chamber in stunned silence. This is outrageous, sputtered Councillor Virax. Thinly veiled accusations and demands. They speak as if they were equals to the collective. Perhaps they are, said Esh quietly, or perhaps they once were. The timing she mentions is troubling. Grand Arbiter Locks turned to their historical advisor. What do we know of this Harbinger they claim attacked them? The advisor consulted his records. Nothing, Grand Arbiter. Our earliest records begin 3,000 years ago, after the Great Reformation. Previous history was lost. Convenient, murmured Esh. The question, said Locks, ignoring the comment, is how we respond. Councillor Virax, what are our military options? The military overseer frowned. Limited until we understand their capabilities. If they've been in stasis for 5 millennia, their technology should be outdated. However, the preservation systems Chief Zenka described suggest otherwise. I recommend caution. I agree, said Zenka. There was something in Commander Reyes' manner, a confidence that suggested they were prepared for this moment. And there's something else. She hesitated. Speak freely, Chief Archivist, encouraged Locks. Before I left, I observed their systems activating what appeared to be communication protocols, directed not at their solar system, but outward, toward distant stars. The implication hung heavy in the chamber. If humans had established colonies beyond their system before the catastrophe, colonies the Voidwalkers had never discovered, the situation was far more complex than they had initially assumed. 3 days later, a Voidwalker diplomatic vessel approached the designated meeting coordinates, a space station orbiting Earth's moon that had seemingly appeared overnight. The station's design was elegant but clearly functional, with no ornamentation or wasted space. Grand Arbiter Locks led the delegation personally, accompanied by Chief Zenka, Councillor Virax, and a contingent of advisors and security personnel. They were met in the docking bay by Commander Reyes and her officers. Welcome to Artemis Station, said Reyes, now dressed in a crisp dark uniform adorned with minimal insignia. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Locks inclined his head slightly. We are curious about your sudden reemergence, and these facilities that seem to have appeared from nowhere. Not appeared, corrected Reyes with a slight smile. Revealed. Artemis Station has been here for 5,000 years, shielded by technology your sensors couldn't detect. One of many preparations we made before our long sleep. She led them through sleek corridors to a conference room where a circular table awaited, reminiscent of the council chamber but smaller. Through the viewports, Earth hung like a blue jewel against the blackness of space. As they seated themselves, another human entered, older than Reyes, with sharp features and calculating eyes. "This is Director Thomas Chen, head of our historical division," introduced Reyes. Chen nodded curtly. "I've spent the past 3 days catching up on 5,000 years of galactic history. Fascinating reading." "We have many questions," began Locke, "about your technology, your intentions." "About the Harbinger," interrupted Chen. "Let's not pretend that isn't why we're here." Locke's expression remained neutral. "We have no record of this entity you claim attacked your species." "Of course you don't," said Chen, "because it wasn't an entity. It was you." The accusation hung in the air like a blade. Zenka felt her respiratory passages constrict in shock. "That's an extraordinary claim," said Virax coldly. Reyes activated a display at the center of the table. It showed ancient spacecraft, unmistakably a Voidwalker design, firing energy weapons at a yellow star. "Our deep space observatories recorded this 5,000 years ago," she said. "Voidwalker ships altering our sun's radiation output. A precision strike designed to sterilize Earth's surface without destroying its resources." "That's impossible," protested Locke. "Our species doesn't. We wouldn't." "Your species might not remember," said Chen, "but your leaders do." The Voidwalker Collective began its expansion shortly after humanity went to sleep. Convenient timing for removing a competitor. Zenka looked at her leaders, expecting vehement denial. Instead, she saw hesitation in Locke's eyes, calculation in Virax's. Cold realization settled over her. "You knew," she whispered. "The lost histories. They weren't lost, were they?" Locke ignored her, addressing Reyes directly. "If what you claim is true, and I'm not conceding it is, what do you want? Reparations? Territory?" "Justice would be a start," said Reyes coldly. "But we're practical. What we want is simple: recognition of humanity's sovereign status and non-interference as we re-establish ourselves." "And if we refuse?" asked Virax. In answer, Reyes activated another display. It showed something that made even Virax pale. Hundreds of stations like Artemis, hidden throughout the galaxy, all activating simultaneously. "We didn't just hide on Earth," said Reyes softly. "We hid everywhere. Small groups in suspended animation, waiting, watching. Some within your most secure systems." A new figure appeared on the screen. A human speaking from what was unmistakably the Voidwalker homeworld. "Sleeper cells awakening across 57 systems," reported the human. "All positions secure." Chen smiled thinly at the Voidwalker's shocked expressions. "You tried to exterminate us, then wrote us out of history. But humanity doesn't break. We adapt. We survive. And most importantly, we plan ahead." "This is the part where you threaten us with destruction," said Virax bitterly. Reyes shook her head. "No, that's what you would do. What you tried to do to us. Humanity is better than that." She leaned forward, her gaze intense. "We're offering you a choice. Continue as you have been, controlling, manipulating, eliminating any species that might challenge you, and face a conflict you cannot win. Or accept that the galaxy is big enough for all of us, reform your collective into something truly collaborative, and move forward together." "The evidence you've presented could be fabricated," said Locke, though his tone lacked conviction. "It could be," agreed Reyes. "But you know it isn't. Deep down, beneath the layers of justification and rationalization, you know what your ancestors did. The question is, are you them, or are you better?" Silence filled the room, heavy with 5,000 years of history, and the weight of decisions that would shape thousands more. Finally, unexpectedly, it was Zenka who spoke. "We should listen to them," she said. "I've studied human history, what little we preserved. They were violent, yes, but also creative, adaptable. They built wonders with primitive tools. Imagine what they could contribute as allies instead of enemies. Locke studied her, then Ray's, then the displays showing human operatives throughout Voidwalker space, not attacking, not destroying, simply watching and waiting. Perhaps, he said slowly, it is time for the collective to evolve. Ray smiled, not in triumph, but in cautious hope. Humanity has had 5,000 years to plan this moment, Grand Arbiter. We could have chosen vengeance. Instead, we chose possibility. She extended her hand, a human gesture of agreement. The galaxy is entering a new age. Let's build it together. After a moment's hesitation, Locke extended his own hand to meet hers. Contact between species that had been separated by time, space, and the long shadow of an attempted genocide. It wasn't peace, not yet, but it was a beginning. Across the solar system, and in hidden outposts throughout the galaxy, humanity continued to awaken, not as conquerors, not as victims, but as survivors who had mastered the ultimate strategy: patience. In the end, the Voidwalkers learned what many had discovered before them. Underestimating humanity was always a costly mistake. For a species that had faced extinction more times than any other, survival wasn't just an instinct. It was an art form.